Welcome to God's Way YTVY, the Spiritual Viewpoint Show. I'm Adolphina Shephard, and this is my co-host Thomas Knight Templar.
Good evening, everyone.
Well, we have not only a fabulous show lined up for you tonight, where we're going to be discussing Nibiru, or Nibiru, as some people call it, but we also have a couple of fabulous guests that have been on here before, but we have them on again because they're so very good. So let's introduce our guest. And Marie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Marie Gilbert.
Hi, everyone. My name's Marie Gilbert, and I'm an author. I write sci-fi books, and I'm a psychic and a professional ghost investigation. So.
And they also call her Steampunk
Granny.
Granny.
Steampunk Granny, so that's why the hat and the outfit.
Oh, but wait a minute, didn't you also work at the Museum of Natural Sciences for many years?
Before I started writing, I worked at the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia. People know it as the Dinosaur Museum. And I was in charge of the changing exhibit hall, the birthday parties, and the diorama tours, and I was the mummy expert for the museum. So once I retired, I had time to do what I really wanted to do, and that was work on my sci-fi books that primarily are based on dreams I've been having from when I was a child that are coming true now, and you're like, so.
Oh yeah, and I've read them all, and they are fabu. They are tell them the
Thank you.
name.
There's 3 books. I'm working on the 4th book right now. So we have Roof Oasis. So this introduces you to the characters and tells you how the zombie apocalypse starts. And then it's followed with book 2, Saving Solanda, and the action takes place on both planets. And then this book, Beware the Harvesters, came out this year, and it gets into the nitty-gritty of the battles happening on 2 planets trying to stop this apocalypse and take over by this one evil man. So book 4 will be out next summer, and after that, my 5th book, I'm going to be working on ghost stories, primarily the 2 ghosts that live in my attic. Fred and Lucy, yes.
Well, wait a minute. What was the name of that TV show where they lived at Beetle something?
Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice. And
Yeah.
people lived up in the attic,
Yeah.
the ghosts, right? Something like that.
The best one was Topper.
Topper.
Topper
Yes,
was the
Topper.
best.
And you have 2
Beetle.
ghosts
All right,
that live
we're
in your
old.
thing?
Give us
Oh,
that.
my
All
God.
right, Topper, it was
Yes.
new when we were kids.
Yes.
Well, I
Right.
guess, there's a lot of these ghosts hanging around, you know?
Yes, they are.
Well, I can't wait till your 4th book comes out because they're very good.
Thank you
Did
so
you come
much.
up with a name for it? Or you don't
I'm
wanna
going to
give it
have
away?
Warriors in the Mist is the main title that I'm going to have Warriors in the Mist. And it'll close the sequence of the series and sort of solve and close all the cliffhangers that you found in book 3. But it'll be left open because if I ever want to go back to it and add more, I can.
And you never know where life is going to take us.
You don't know. That's true.
So now we also have our master astrologer and master psychic, and shaman, and master hypnosis, Mary Silvernail.
Oh,
I think I've said a lot of it, but you
I
got to
think-
tell us
but
about
I
yourself.
do a lot of
Put
things.
the rest in it.
I do a lot of
Yeah.
things. Yeah, thank you so much for having me back.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you. So I'm Mary Silvernail, and I am a master astrologer, highly psychic, medium, and I'm also a hypnotist, but I'm a shaman, and a shaman does many different things, whatever is really needed. But I also write the horoscope column and also some angel columns. But my office is in Waretown. I'm the owner of Hope Hypnosis and Holistic Center in Waretown, New Jersey. And I'm just thrilled to be here tonight to be talking about this subject. It's very interesting to me.
Well, and the reason we're doing this is I invited Mary on because, Jesus had come to me and he said, you need to talk about Nibiru. There's too much fear around Nibiru and I want you to dispel it. So I called upon our master astrologer so she could dig into the nitty-gritty and find out what's happening that way, and then we'll all share our thoughts, because we all have thoughts on it and info that we've received from our own psychic ability. So why don't you start and tell us with those wonderful charts you dug up or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. First of all, this is a big one. I don't know.
And you're going to be able to see your head
Can you-
over
no,
it.
you can't.
She said,
Okay. But this chart is actually of all the planets and then plus Nibiru. Now, how do you pronounce it? Nibiru,
Well, I've
Nibiru?
heard it pronounced Nibiru and Nibiru, but Nibiru rolls off my tongue.
Okay. So anyway, Nibiru. That's what works for me too, which is also known as Planet
Jupiter.
X. No, also
The
known as
ancients
Planet
called
X.
it Jupiter.
Right.
called
I
Jupiter.
know that. I
Yeah.
agree with you. But anyway, if these are all the inner planets. Whoop.
Oh,
wrong
the other
way.
side.
These are.
Yeah,
there
yeah,
you
there you go, there you go.
There's the okay.
The so-called magic.
Here's the sun. Okay, as you
No,
can see,
you're on
that
the-
big
oh,
yellow
she's on-
spot,
oh,
right?
she's on the wrong end. You're on
Then
the
you
wrong end.
have all the.
Yeah, it's on the
I
other
can't
side.
see it.
Yeah, you know what? We really need to have an easel or something to put that on.
Yeah.
You were never
Can
good
we
at
have
show
one
and
of
tell, were
those
you?
chairs and we can
No.
lean it against it, maybe?
Okay, or could I put it?
Can you grab
give me
that
that chair,
chair
just put it
and
over
just
here.
put it over here? We'll lean it against it.
Yeah, give me the chair.
That
I
chair.
can't believe it.
The chair. Bring the chair over here.
Yeah, if you can bring the chair over, we'll.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Be on TV.
yeah, and we'll just get you another one
This
because.
might not be your 15 minutes of fame, but it's got to count for something.
You gotta use my chair.
Yeah, we'll
The other
grab
one isn't
another
as
one.
big.
Yeah, because that wasn't
Okay.
working. Mary couldn't
No.
see the
Oh
chart.
my goodness! Oh my goodness!
That's better, isn't
Talk
it?
about yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now.
Now,
Thank you, Dan.
we got to get that on camera, though, because they can't see it just yet.
Yeah.
Wait 1 second. We're going to swing over to
There
that.
you
There
go.
we go.
Okay, thank you.
Now we're
thank
ready.
you, thank you. Okay, so here's the sun. And then we have within this belt here of all the asteroids, this is the asteroid belt spinning around over here. And then we have an alignment of the planets, okay, such as all the inner planets, which are Mercury, Venus, the Earth, Mars. And then we have the outer planets, which are beyond the asteroid belt. And as you can see here, we have Jupiter and Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto out there, and then Nibiru, which is all the way out at the end there. Now, if in fact Nibiru exists, because there's two schools of thought, whether or not it does exist. But I have my own opinions on that. But the reason that I brought this particular chart is because I wanted to explain why there's so much talk in reference to Planet X, Nibiru, okay? I mean, what you know, it's called by different names because a lot of people are so frightened of it because it's a planet, if in fact it is a planet, that they don't have enough information about yet. And any outer planet can actually determine things that occur in our civilization. And that's why it's such a big deal. Because outer planets, the further out it is, the more of an impact it can have when it comes around. And from the research that I have done, it's my understanding that it only comes around every 3,657 years, whereas Pluto comes around and comes around back to its placement and has a cycle of 284 years, whereas Jupiter, 12 years. These are the cycles of the planets. But the inner planets that are constantly moving around the Earth so quickly, such as Mercury and Venus, that's really what affects our daily lives. But when we have something that happens astrologically in reference to an effect from an outer planet, it can have a larger impact because that's what really has an impact on an entire civilization and not just on us on a daily basis. So then when I looked further into this, what I found is this, which made me feel much better. Okay, so now here we have the sun, and we have actually, this is an astrological chart. I'm sure, you know, it's a zodiac chart. Most people have seen what that looks like. But we have the sun right in the middle. This blue line that is going out, this is actually the orbit of what is to believed Planet X or Nibiru. Nibiru. I can never say it. I can never say it right. Nibiru. Anyway, and the orbit, if you look at this, see, the cycle of this is coming in all the way from way, 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 way far out in outer space. And it's coming in, and then it comes around, and it comes close, but then it goes, it has like a unusual orbit that then goes back out and around. So it's 30, yeah, it's not, yeah, it's wide angle. Whereas the other planets aren't as,
Well, the orbits are more like circular.
yeah,
and
more
that one is
circular.
like oblong.
Right, and that is what made me feel better. Because all it is that it's coming in, it's going to come around, and then it's just going to go right back out where it had come from. And I don't see anything in a really negative, cataclysmic way in reference to this. And go ahead.
Does it affect us more coming in, or does it affect
As
us
it gets
more?
closer.
Okay.
Which is also why a lot of people are blaming it on the climate change. And that's something that you can hear a lot about, you know, but the way that it's hyped up, it can be very scary. Right. Now, I mean, I was on your show in January, and you guys had asked me to do a 10-year projection.
Right.
Right. And when I did that, yes, I saw some ups and downs and things like that. But I didn't see anything where it was where we weren't going to be here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You know, I mean, I saw some things like, and especially, and what I really feel is happening is that it's just affecting the way that we live. And you know, the earth itself has in the middle of it so much iron that keeps us, it's like an energy field that could keep anything from us, keep it away from us. So I just don't see that, happening. And also different things that you have talked about, which you're going to go into. I'm really leaning more in that direction as far as what you and Tommy have been feeling psychically.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because what happened is I started doing research for it after Jesus talked to me. And it was so confusing. I mean, it went back to the Sumerian age with, what's his name, Eric somebody or other, a famous author.
Van Daniken?
Huh?
Eric Van Daniken?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And so, anyways,
To the gods.
I read more and more of it, the more confused I got. Because then it started getting into how another fella comes in and says, well, it was actually the planet Jupiter. And then he's doing the sizing and the moons and this and that. And in the beginning, it made sense. But when it was over, I said to myself, wait a minute. Comes around every 12 years. That means at least 5 times in my lifetimes it has come by. It hasn't killed us yet. So that is not it. That makes no sense, right? Right? And so then the more I read, the more confused I got. So I said, heck with this. I'm going to Jesus. So I went into meditation with Jesus and I started asking some questions. Now, what did you think it was? Because I think you're the one who first started me on this trajectory.
When I was down at the beach, one day I took photos like I always do of the sun. And usually the Blessed Mother is there in the picture as an orb. And behind the sun was something that dwarfed it, that was at least 20 times larger than it, okay? And it was Nibiru. Now, it's my belief that anything that could come out of orbit from deep space and appear there uses wormholes to get interdimensionally from one end of the galaxy to the other. I do not believe it is a planet. I believe it is a ship. I know it sounds a little crazy, but I don't feel it is a planet. And if it is not a planet, what else could it be? No planet leaves its orbit and could be here one day and disappear the next. Okay, that is my viewpoint of it.
Well, you know, so, and your point, you talked to that. So then when I started talking to Jesus, I said, you know, okay, I'm so confused right now. Now I need information. So, is Nibiru a planet? He said, first I asked, wait a minute. I said, is Jupiter Nibiru? Negative, no. So then, you know, I'm asking, is Nibiru a planet? And no. So what is it then? Well, it's a mothership. So, I mean, imagine a mothership that's so big that it's 10 times the size of our own planet. I mean, who could conceive of this? I mean, you know, we're in kindergarten compared to what they do.
It was bigger than the sun.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was much bigger than the sun now that you mention it, because I saw that picture.
Yeah.
And then, so I said, okay, so tell me more. And he said, they are the guardians of the galaxy. He said, and they come around to determine if mankind is on its trajectory to awaken, or if they're going to follow their destructive path. And then he said that they keep us and others from going past the ring past me not. Now it's interesting, I don't know where this picture is. I got so many pictures, it's buried somewhere. And there was actually a giant ring in the sky, and that's the ring past me not. Because I remember when I took it, I said, what the heck is that? And they told me it's the ring past me not. So it must be where a lot of ships and so forth come in and out. And you're not allowed past that unless they let you.
You know what I find extremely interesting?
What?
What you're saying in reference to the Watchers and what you and Tommy have felt about this and the information that you've received. When it comes in, and with the cycle that I showed you, where it comes around and then it gets as close as it comes to us, is in the constellation Capricorn. Capricorn is the Watchers.
Oh, how
Capricorn.
about
that. So when you just said that to me, that really blew me away.
Wow. Well, you know what? I mean, I got it straight from Jesus, and he said, you know, it's known as the destroyer. So if mankind has continued on his destructive path, we may have had another cataclysmic event where mankind is primarily wiped off the planet. That's why people were so frightened. But that is not going to happen, and I'll tell you how I know besides Jesus telling me so. It's because about 2 years ago, I watched a TV show, and I think it was 60 Minutes or the Science Channel. I really don't remember. But what was fascinating about this is NASA had found these 8 big anomalies spaced around the Earth, and they didn't know what they were. So they decided they should destroy them. How ridiculous, right? Well, anyway, so they sent out a team of scientists, and the team of scientists go to blow one of them up. They vaporized. So what do? They send another team out. This time it was recorded. When they tried to blow it up, they were all vaporized.
Wow.
So now these things, it kind of scared me when I saw that. And so I started asking questions. And I found out that they're stabilizers that have been activated in the Earth because mankind is awakening. And they are strategically placed around the Earth. And they've been activated. Whereas I guess in the other cataclysmics, they were not activated. Because obviously they've been there, otherwise we would have known if they come in and put in these huge things that disrupt and are big enough to be covered by satellites and so forth.
Ask the question of who or what put them there?
Right.
Absolutely.
And are they to keep things in, to keep us from doing space exploration? or are they to keep things out?
No,
from coming
neither.
in?
They are stabilizers of the earth for when the
Okay.
earth would wobble. So there's, let's say,
Well, speaking of wobbling, a lot of the research I've been doing as of late is saying that the Earth's orbit is wobbling.
yeah, well, yeah, and so
And
that's
that's
kind of the
leading to a lot of the
stabilizer.
climate change
Yeah.
and all of that stuff.
Well, you know, I bet that has a lot to do with geoengineering too, you know. But these things have been activated. They've probably been put in here by the galactics many billions of years ago. But they've been dormant because they only get turned on when mankind starts to awaken. And we do have a very large percentage of people that are awakened now. Now, I would venture to say that the government and all the other, they know about this, and they're either afraid of Nibiru or the ascension that they built all these underground bases and so forth. So, but there's no reason for it, you know, there's no reason for it because we're going to be totally safe. I mean, we may have a few things, you know, a little earthquake here
Right.
or something, but nothing like the
Couple
a
hundred
total-
thousand dead,
Well, I
it doesn't
mean,
matter.
Oh, no, we're not
pole
turning
shift where
upside
we're not
down.
all
No.
going to die.
No.
No, we're not turning upside down. You know, I have to tell you, when I was showing you the planets,
Yeah.
they believe that Nibiru is out past Pluto, right? So now Pluto is considered that when Pluto comes in, and when I'm talking about for a person, like in their astrological chart.
Right.
As an astrologer, when I look at Pluto and I see Pluto coming around in a person's stars, depending on where it's hitting, what it can do, it's considered like a wrecking ball, not of the earth, but like in a person's life. It
Right.
just knocks everything down so that it can rebuild everything more beautifully and more perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so now, what I had noticed also while I was doing this research, because I was so interested in the fact that how similar it was, everything that's being talked about with Planet X, with Nibiru, is the same as what was talked about originally with Pluto,
With Pluto.
before they understood it. And Pluto is considered that it comes in, it knocks everything down, and then rebuilds everything. And so I was doing some research in reference to Pluto also with the United States.
Oh,
and
let's
if you
hear it.
don't mind,
No,
okay,
no.
That
because
would
I
be
know this
great.
really
Yeah.
isn't,
Right.
okay, but I also feel that's why it coincides with what's happening now with Nibiru and us realizing the change that is needed. Okay, but Pluto right now, I'm looking at an astrological chart of the United States. And Pluto is about to make its return, its natal return to its original placement from 284 years ago in the astrological chart of the United States of America.
So everything's going to go boom, boom.
And that's why we're rebuilding, we're changing. And the thing is that as an astrologer, another astrologer would appreciate what I'm about to say here tremendously. The planet Pluto right now in the heavens is in Capricorn, okay?
from whence
Guardians.
Nibiru comes
And
from.
what we're talking about before with Capricorn,
Okay.
it's in opposition to, there is a huge stellium of planets in the sign of Cancer for the United States, because the United States was born July the 4th, 1776, correct?
Right.
Okay, in the sign of Cancer. But in that constellation, at the birth of the United States, besides the sun, was also Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, and the part of fortune, all in the sign of Cancer in that constellation. So that's why we're having so many effects that are happening in the United States itself right now. Okay, I didn't do the other countries such as China, Russia, etc. That I'm sure would be for another day. But what I'm saying is that if in fact Nibiru is getting closer, and when it comes in, from the research that I did, that it comes in close into Capricorn, and it's right behind Pluto, follows behind Pluto, Pluto's in Capricorn right now. That's my point. So I think that that's why all the changes are happening.
Isn't Pluto going to be in Capricorn a lot shorter time than, excuse me, a lot shorter time than Nibiru?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But from the research that I did, that the orbit of Nibiru, when it's coming really close, is 2017, 2018, that cycle. But as I said to you before too, I mean, to me, as an astrologer, when I'm looking at the planets, to me, they're messengers. They're messengers. And this is really what we're talking about here, that you guys had received. You received your messages.
Right.
And so I don't really believe that Nibiru is a planet either. I just don't. For some reason,
it
I don't. It just doesn't set
Well,
right
you're
with me.
psychic, so,
Doesn't
you know,
feel
that's what you're
right.
being told, but
it's following right behind Pluto.
So if it's not a planet, what are you calling it? An asteroid or
Not
I'm
that
kind of
big.
like leaning towards
Not that
what
big.
the ship?
I'm telling you. I'm really
Listen,
leaning that
they-
way.
you have to have a certain amount of intelligence,
Right.
okay, to realize that these beings, I mean, we are a speck in comparison to them as their depth of knowledge.
Right.
What they forgot 2 billion years ago, we haven't learned yet.
Yeah.
All right, we're like infants beyond the seed. That's what we are, in comparison in technology. All right, this is a ship. There is no doubt about it. That's what they told me. Okay, it is a ship. It is here to monitor us.
Right.
And if we are ready and fit to join the council, the Federation councils that are up there in space,
Right.
then we will be. If we are not, we will still stay in the same chaotic lifestyles
Right.
that we live.
Now, you know something?
Right.
This just popped into mind. I forget exactly what language it means it in. Maybe it was Hebrew. It talked about Nibiru means a ford or a river. In other words, we have got to cross this river before we can get to where we go to, let's call it heaven on
Enlightenment?
earth,
Okay.
or heaven or peace or Garden of Eden. So you have to pass this river to complete the tree of life and cross to where we're going to complete the cycle where we're meant to be. Now, how cool is that? It actually means that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the word means.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that cool?
That is absolutely beautiful, because I just don't see, I only see some change happening for us. I absolutely do not see destruction.
No.
Yeah, I think we're at a huge precipitous where we're just ready to take off and fly. You know, instead of going zoop, we're going to go, the wings are going to come out, and, you know, we're just going to fly into the new place, you know, across that river on the earth.
Right.
You know, and so it'd be cool. It's really going to be wonderful when we get past this this period of time where it's still so chaotic.
Because a lot of people don't look on this positive side. A lot of people are looking for destruction. They're preparing for destruction, and they're not even thinking.
Well, you
change
see so
doesn't-
much about saying it's the end times, and
Right.
it more or less can be the end times. I'm not going to say it's not, you know what I mean? But their depth of knowledge of this subject is limited because
Limited,
it's
right.
instructional.
Right.
It's been indoctrinated into them. And it's
Right.
hard to get them to see
Outside the box.
outside the box
Yeah.
because they've been controlled like lab rats.
Right.
And they don't see that.
Right, and part of it is too that because they're still asleep, they haven't awakened. They haven't. Most of them don't have their intuitive abilities fully
Right.
online, so they can't get this information we can get. You know what I mean? They don't know
They
it.
don't
They
know
just
it.
read something, scares the bejeebies out of them, and then they're in fear mode. You know, and this is why Jesus said, we got to cut this fear out. There is no worries over this. Everything's going to be great.
If they are the Watchers, the Acturians, or the Niberians, whatever you want to call them, all right, if they are them, okay, then they are benevolent, not malevolent.
Right, right. They are here to make sure that we're worthy to enter into the evolved human state and to progress into a higher level of humanity, because frankly, we've been barbarians up until this point, you know, and we got to overcome that in order to get to that level.
Right.
You know, and so they monitor that. They don't, you know, I mean, they don't do this in the higher levels. You know what I mean? Where you just fight for the to make money. And you don't care who's killed and blah, 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 blah.
They've evolved. We haven't yet.
Right.
We're still in our
Infancy.
beginning.
We're in our infancy.
We have a long way to go.
What I wanted to say to you is that the Hopi would agree with you. Because the Hopi have been waiting for the blue star to come again. And and what is really believed is that the blue star
Oh, the Watchers.
is, yes, exactly.
It's what?
The Watchers.
The Watchers.
Oh, the Watchers.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Hopi agree with you guys.
Right.
You have to look at, I mean, I'm not going to tell everybody to go out and watch Ancient Aliens, but you know what?
It would be eye-opening.
You have
You
to,
all.
how does all these different people from all over the world in all different parts of the world, in
Right.
Africa, here, there, the other,
Exactly.
all have that same gist of knowledge,
Right.
all right?
And all around
That's
the
right.
world, they've seen UFOs. I mean, it can't
The only
be
place that doesn't
denied.
tell you about it is here and in
Right.
Russia. They don't tell you about it.
No.
But you go to Mexico, it's like, you know, on TV, oh, we saw 3 flying saucers today,
Right.
you know?
It would be very educational if people would start watching some of the Ancient Aliens, some of the sci-fi, because you
Right.
know what? The more they investigate science, the closer they get to God. Now, that blew me away when I heard a scientist
But I
say
believe
that.
that. I
Yeah.
believe that. The more you learn about science, the closer you get to God. I feel that way.
Yeah, and then even
I do.
those who weren't religious or believed in God became a believer.
Because of what they've seen. What they've seen. I think the United States and Russia, well, Russia's under control of a madman, but I think the reason they don't want us to know this is that they lose control.
Yes.
It's all about
So
control.
it's all about control. So keep the people dumb them down from when they start school. Don't allow them to be free thinkers. And when something like this does come up, play it down. Oh, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about, because they don't want you to become enlightened and to ask the right questions, because they lose that control.
Well, and not only that, but they think us common folks don't have the right to know.
Yeah, we're not- yeah.
You know, and we may insist upon being in the underground bunkers with them, and they may not. You know, that's
Right.
limited to the individuals that they choose. You know,
The
so
elite.
Them zealots, they can
Yeah.
stay in them
The
freaking
cabal.
holes, because you know what?
Right.
Yeah.
They go in those holes, they're going to die too.
Oh, you know, I read something about that. Yeah.
Well, you know, I heard that in Hillary's emails, okay, that there's a mention. Did you know that about Nibiru?
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that on Facebook.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see
Yes, absolutely. In her infamous emails.
There was also something in there that said that in one of the leaks of the hacked emails where she said we want to keep the people compliant.
Yes.
Yeah, chemtrails. There you go.
Poison in the food.
There you go.
The
GMOs.
air, the
But like
water.
I
Do we have
said-
to get into all of this?
Like I said in the break room, is that you can't pick one or the other candidates. Candidates run, they're not, no matter who's put in the White House.
It's not going to be in their
It's
hands.
not
It's
them,
not in their hands.
it's the corporations
behind the scenes.
behind the scenes that control everything. So they get the people all uprawled
I told you
and
we're heading to
fighting
a
each
one
other.
world government led by
My
5 families
father-
that have been around since.
Right, right. My father and the other ghosts that come to me at night, they're all saying the World Bank and all that, you gotta put down the corporations, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to bring back slavery, because you see them doing it now to the people, taking away whatever benefits they promised them. They take it away. Now they're forcing people to work, but only so many hours, so you don't get paid full time and get benefits.
You get benefits, yeah.
They're enslaving us.
Well, we have a very important full moon, that's a super moon, that's happening on Monday, on the 16th. And it's the last full moon before the election. And what's happening is that right now, as we are approaching that moon, and already the moon in the heavens, as we're speaking today here, is in the sign of Aries, and this is the Aries full moon. the thing is that the planet Uranus, which is the great planet of change, is moving along with the moon. So this moon is extremely intense. And also when we were speaking with Pat before, who works in the studio here too.
Our resident
She's a professor.
Yeah, she's a professor of,
Yes.
of astronomy, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yes, very knowledgeable.
Not of astronomy.
I didn't say that. I said astronomy. And
I must have a bum ear or something.
she was talking about how huge this moon is going to be because it's the hunter's moon.
Yes.
And this is the time of year, this moon, this is when the Native American people would wait until this moon because it would be so bright and all the animals would come, and that's why it was called the hunter's moon. So make sure, I hope that you guys get to see that moon.
You
But
can
it
see
happens
it
once
now,
yeah.
already
Oh
out there.
yeah. Oh yeah. But with Uranus moving along with it and it being a supermoon, which means it's very close to the Earth, and with the fact that it's the last full moon before the election, and with Uranus, it's very, 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 very powerful change. And that's why we keep seeing all this erratic change that's happening, because that's what Uranus brings, this erratic change. Should be interesting.
Oh,
It should
yeah.
be. You can see how both parties, if you want to call them that, I just call them a fraternity of liars. Okay.
That's a good one.
Okay. Both parties, okay, are scared to death of change
Yes.
because you look at the Trump side of it, and what do you got? You got the old school that don't want to support him because they don't want to change their pockets get in line by corporations. And on the Democratic side, you got you don't want to cut off the gravy train to all the lackeys that vote for them, you know? So there you go.
Well, like I said, because we all vote differently, no matter who you're.
It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference.
I'm Democrat, you're a Republican, but like, no matter who.
I'm not a Republican.
No?
Oh, I'm an American.
Whoever
Full-blood
you-
American, I vote.
I'm awakened, is
The
what you say.
Constitution.
Okay, well, but no matter who you vote for, you got to remember who's really in power,
Right.
and it's the corporations.
That's right.
And
That's
they're
exactly
the ones that are afraid. They're starting to be afraid of the people. And it's a good thing sometimes when government, no matter who the party is in control, is afraid of the people, because
Well, we outnumber 'em.
It's supposed to be, by the people, for the
For the
people,
people.
not for the corporations.
that's,
See, before, there was only like 3% awakened. And then it was
There's
10% awakened.
There's
Now,
more
then it
people.
was 30%. Now it's something like 70% are on the cusp of awakening.
Yeah.
And that's way more
That's
than
scary.
the small percentage that they needed to tip
Right.
the light in the favor.
Right.
And every day people are waking up
and
more.
they're questioning.
Yeah,
They're questioning both sides.
Yeah.
And
You have to.
that's, well, you're a psychic,
I mean,
you
they
know.
blatantly lie to your face.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You know, and then and the media, watching the media, they don't take anybody to task.
Well, because the media is owned.
By who?
By the
By them.
corporations. Right.
So the whole thing is, I have a group of psychics I meet with, and the one thing we've been saying over and over is that people that, if you would have brought this conversation up a year ago, would look at you like weirdo, and more people are coming out of this darkness and awakening and saying, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. They're listening. And you wouldn't have found that just a year ago.
Yeah, very quickly now.
Well,
People
yeah,
are
very
awakening
quickly.
very, very quickly.
Right.
Well, Uranus brings sudden change.
That's what you need.
There we go. There we go. We need some sudden change.
Yes, and
I-
that's
I
what's
would-
happening.
I would
But
like
we're
that.
talking about like super duper big change.
Good. Good. We need it. We need it. But
And hopefully it'll be for the people,
Yes.
all the people across the world.
Well, I
Not
hope
just
so
America.
too, Marie. But I
know.
Well,
Right.
the main thing we want to take from this whole show
Yes.
is that things are going to be fine with
Yes.
Nibiru.
Yes.
And if you want to help in any way, you can always send rose gold light to mankind.
Yep.
Because that'll calm people down, settle them down, keep them from wanting to push the wrong buttons, like with nuclear power, wanting race riots, so anybody can ask God to just, please send the rose gold light. That's what Jesus
Right.
told us to do.
That's right.
And settle things down and just, everybody have cool heads. You know what I mean? Everybody
Right.
needs a cool head.
That's so important what you're saying.
Yes.
Truly, it's
just
so
stop.
important what you're saying, because if you keep, if the majority of people keep projecting such negative,
It's going to draw it. You're going to
it's
draw
going to
it.
make
Yeah.
it, they're going to manifest it even more. So that's why, if you believe something to be so, it's going to be
Happen.
so.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
think that everything is going to be wonderful.
Put out good vibes.
Yeah, put
Yeah.
out good
Combat the
vibes.
bad.
Yeah,
Right.
good vibes, good
vibes.
vibrations.
Right.
And, maybe we can all come to a peaceful negotiation. You know what I'm saying? And
Common sense.
Yeah, common sense. And for the good of all.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you so much for doing all that work on
Yes.
Nibiru.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because you really need
interesting.
an expert in the field, because you read so much out there on the internet, you don't know what to think. And everybody's got opposing views.
There's so much conjecture on the internet. Not only that, do you not think that these corporations are not putting misinformation in
Right.
there?
Oh, sure.
They want to
Yeah.
keep the population stupid.
Stupid. Right.
And now they have a world population because the internet made the world a baseball.
Right.
Okay? Some people, I love when they say this to me, because, I've read this on the internet. I said,
Oh, that means
use your own
it's so.
common sense.
Right.
Right.
That means it's absolute truth.
Right.
You could a whole plethora of liars on the internet
Right.
that put out false information constantly. And what
Constantly.
did the Bible say? Beware the soothsayers, right? Beware the the negative prophets. Okay, come on.
Well, what I understand is, now this is really getting far-fetched, but I believe it's true. In the fourth dimension, there's an astral plane run by negative entities. And these negative entities are those who have controlled, or politicians and so forth. And the thing is that they feed on hatred, fear, violence, and so they're always trying to stir up trouble so they can get people afraid, so they can feed off it, because that's how they live.
Like psychic vampires.
Yeah, psychic
what they are,
vampires. That's
yeah.
what they are.
Right.
And so if we want to get rid of these very negative beings,
Eat garlic.
huh?
Eat garlic.
No, not eat garlic. Rather, instead, stop feeding the fear. Stop
Yeah.
feeding the fear and
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Have trust in God.
That's right. That's a very good point. If
Right.
you have faith, and you trust in God, things will be okay. And look on the glass being half full, not half empty, and
Right.
and just stay positive, because we want to starve these negative entities to death. The ones who thrive on the fear.
Do you know, as an astrologer, it is against the golden rule to ever predict death?
Oh yeah, is that right?
Yes, that is correct. And it ties into exactly what you're saying there. Because if you project that out, when I'm doing a reading and somebody says, is my husband, and exactly when, the whole thing is, as an astrologer, usually you could tell when the planets would be aligned, but it's ultimately the free will of each individual that's between them and God as to whether or not they're going to leave this
Well,
earth.
wouldn't that be
But
empowering the thought?
That's
if I
exactly
go and
right.
if I say, you're going to die tomorrow, and you take it so serious, and you just
That's
happen
right.
to die tomorrow,
you could manifest
you
it.
can
Right.
manifest
You
it.
can.
That's my point.
know.
That's why that is the
Right.
golden rule. You do not predict death.
Right.
Well, and so we got to stop implanting that fear. And you know, like this is one of the worst things, and I mean it's not the same thing, but like when the doctors say, oh, you got 6 months to live if they have bad cancer or something, well, that's kind of hard to shake out of your brain, you know
Sure.
what I mean?
Especially when you tell the doctor, they say, I can't pay my bill in 6 months because you got a year. You know? What?
So, you know, you don't want to empower that fear
That's
because,
right.
you know, I know people who were told that they only had a few months to live and they got treated and they're still alive 10
still
years
alive.
later,
Listen, nobody
12
has a
years
toe
later.
tag on their
So-
body
Right.
that says when they're going to die.
Nope.
Okay? You don't make that decision.
Well, you have opportunity. This is my belief. You have opportunities that you could. I believe there's 3 probably. I don't know, but that's what I feel, and that's between you and God. So you can exit at certain times. and
Windows of
not.
opportunity.
But it's your free
Yeah.
will.
Right.
That's right.
And it's between you and God.
That's right.
Right.
Not that you have to leave this earth. Because, I mean, as an astrologer, you know, I mean, there's certain aspects that could indicate that a person would leave this earth. Or I could predict, like, the day of my. But, you know, guess what? Lots of times those planets go right past because the person is not saying to themselves that they're ready to leave yet. Do
Right.
you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because all it is just an energy field. It's just energy. That's all the planets are giving us are energy, but it doesn't mean that we have to take it because God gave us free will.
It's kind of like that show that they used to give out a free line. You could call somebody and get an answer. It's kind of like that. You know,
Yeah.
you have some windows where you could take that opportunity,
Right.
but that doesn't mean you have to. It means you can go right by it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
so-
yes,
Yeah.
and that's why you really, you know, that it upsets me sometimes when I hear of people, my clients, you know, or different clients come to me and say, well, I went to a reader and they said that, you know, so-and-so was going. That's not good because
Oh, I
then
know.
they're manifesting it. You
Well,
know?
you know, and people don't realize it, but you can also renegotiate your contract with God and extend if you're needed or if you want to stay. I mean, this is something that is a living entity, that contract, and you can change that as long as you can make that arrangement with God, Father God. So, you know, all these things are up in the air. Nothing's set in stone.
Yep.
This life on earth is a tapestry that weaves in and out with timelines and peoples and thoughts. And so if you try to look positive towards everything, so that's what you create.
You know, when you hear the phrase, you know, being positive and stuff like that, it's very difficult for the average person, okay, to say, I'm going to be happy. Why? They're bombarded with this 3D crap that we live, all right? They're bombarded with it. You put it on the news, and what do you get? If you get a half-hour news or whatever it is, it's horror, 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 horror. And then you put fluffy little bunny rabbits running around at the end. Isn't that cute? That's your whole thing.
Right.
So stop watching the news.
I don't watch the news anymore. I don't watch
stopped.
it. In my world,
Yeah.
everything is fine.
Yeah.
Okay? But I will tell you this much. When the media constantly bombards us
Right.
with horror, 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 we become media addicts to horror.
Yes.
And nothing will sell. You won't sell a newspaper unless it has a horrible story in it.
No. And we don't look for the good in people
gonna
because
tell
they
me in
make
a
us look
world
at
this size?
they make us look at the worst in people.
That's it.
And there's for every murder that happens, look at all the people they don't mention that are
Right.
doing good deeds, that
Right.
are going out of their way to help other people. You
Why?
don't
Because that
hear
would
about
give people
doesn't-
hope.
It doesn't sell newspapers.
It doesn't
either.
sell paper, but it doesn't give people hope.
Right.
There's a theory called, I think it was from the Hopi, or how do you say it, the
Hopi.
Hopi or the
Hopi.
Hopi?
Hopi.
Well, I remember seeing it where they say, okay, okay, you have a negative thing here and a positive thing there. So how are you going to think positive? Well, if you got a wolf at your door, which one dies first? The one you don't feed. Which one lives? It's the one you feed. So if you want to be positive, you negate or push aside anything that's negative and then lean towards the positive. Now, I'll give you a quick trick for me, what I use, and we're running out of time, so I got to cut it short. I have what I call a worry box.
Okay.
And if I have something on my mind, I sit down and I think solidly about that worry box. What's my A, B, C, D, E move, etc. And then after I'm done, all right, I've made my decisions. Put the worry back in the box and away it goes.
Right.
You know, and that helps me because some
Yeah,
people
that-
will
that's your-
worry,
that's your
worry,
coping-
worry all day.
That's your coping mechanism. For me, I don't give in to any low energy emotion like that.
That's good.
I mean, worry, fear, all of that is inverted faith. And my faith is that I'm with God.
Well, see, these are all good tips for people who wonder how we stay positive all the time.
I always
The
say,
drugs.
if God's for me,
No, stop.
God's for
The
me.
psychedelics, the
who can be
70s
He's
were great.
joking. He's
What-
joking.
I'm just kidding.
Say that again for
If
out
God
loud.
is for me, who can be against me? And that's what I keep saying.
That's true.
Especially if I do ghost investigations, and you're always afraid of picking up a
Well, what we were discussing
dark-
earlier, Adolphina and
Right.
I said to her, there's a Bible quote where Jesus, that he's outside and he sees Mary Magdalene crying with the tomb is open, and he says, "So why are you looking for the living amongst the dead?"
Right.
Okay. This earth, the people are starting to wake up. They're
Right.
starting to finally live.
So they're
okay?
not dead.
So they're
right?
not
They're
dead,
not
but they
dead.
were dead for
they
generations.
were dead.
Right. That's a
So
very
it's
good
a beautiful thing.
Right. It is.
Yeah, it's
That's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Makes you want to kiss me right here. Right?
So
Wants
change
kisses.
is
We
good.
got to put some kisses on his collar
Yeah.
before we
The
leave.
kisses I get is Hershey's. They hang on my shirt.
From the kids, right? Grandkids. So I guess
gotta
we're
wrap it up.
running out of time, so we want
What do
to,
we got, Gil?
yeah. I don't know.
5?
He's been saying
We
that
got
for
5
5
minutes?
minutes.
Yeah,
So
5
there's
minutes for
3
the last 2
minutes
hours.
left.
Okay, we have 5. They're very long minutes.
five very long minutes, yeah.
They're
I
very long
wanted to
minutes.
ask you something about Planet X. Now, they said Pluto is no longer a planet. I feel bad for
Pluto
Pluto.
is a planet.
I
It
consider
is.
it a planet.
Okay,
It's a
I did
planet.
too. It's like St. Christopher. First
Yeah.
he's a saint
Come
that
on.
they
And then
throw
he's
him
not.
out.
Right,
It
right.
affects people. To
I
me,
know.
as an astrologer, it affects people.
So, is there the same man I think that said Pluto wasn't a planet now said there's another planet X?
X is Nibiru. It's
Is
the
that
same
who?
thing.
Is that
Same
the?
thing.
Okay, all right. So,
See how they confuse you?
oh my God.
It's like you don't know who to believe. You got to
know.
go in and get the answers, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're not going to find them elsewhere.
There you go. And let's really look at this. We don't know everything that's out there. Right?
course not.
So if Nibiru,
We don't know what's going on
if
here either.
Nibiru is out there, Nibiru's out there, and so are a lot of other planets.
Oh my
For
God.
goodness sake. So I mean,
Subaru.
for us to just no, really, right? I know you're funny, but really, just think about it because we really don't know yet. We're constantly discovering new,
So we
solar
can't
sy-
even leave. We can't even make it to Mars.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't make it to Mars. That's like a 5-year-old not
should've
allowed to go to
been
the
there.
candy store across the street. Okay, come on.
We should have been
We're
there.
infants. We are a speck of dust in intelligence in comparison to what they are.
Oh God, there are many universes, and it says in the Bible, my Father has many mansions. Come on, what do you think he was talking
Mansions,
about?
mansions,
I
mansions.
totally agree.
Mansions, yeah.
Mattresses he doesn't have.
I didn't say mattresses.
That's
I
what it
said-
sounded like.
No, mansions. Yeah,
I need a
many
mattress. Can you
mansions.
get
Absolutely.
Oh my God, I know he's bad, but yeah. So everything's good. Everything's good. Going
least
in the
I
right
think
direction.
so.
Oh, I think so too.
I mean, I really feel that it is.
So don't worry about Nibiru no more.
No.
Or Planet X.
Nope.
No.
Everything's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Is that it?
Is that the final word?
That's the final
That's
word.
the final
That's the
Okay.
final word on
Okay, we got
Nibiru.
about 2 minutes. So
Yeah.
let's thank our facilities here at CTV and Time Warner, or what their new name is, Spectra, I think it is, so Spectrum, and our studio guests. Thank you. Everybody give yourself a round of applause.
Yeah.
They're like
And-
trained seals. I love it, And we have 3 minutes now.
my God.
I thought we had 2 minutes. You guys are confusing the death out of me. Nibiru must be around.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it's got to be.
You
That's
can't
what it's
say
gotta be.
Mercury's retrograde because
No.
it's not.
It's
So
not?
that's not an excuse.
Okay. And our wonderful people in the booth and our great staff that we have here that helps us all the time to put on a show. I hope we give you an hour worth of information and good times and laughing and other things. There are worse things you could do on a Friday night. and
And our
our
guest.
guest.
Thank you.
Mary.
Thank you for
Thank you for
coming on.
having us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it. We
We
appreciate
have
it.
1 minute.
Oh, we have 1 minute
Time flies when
now.
you're doing
And
this.
he's saying 2 minutes.
thought this-
Ay.
I
Talk
thought
about
this-
getting different information from
like new
everywhere.
math.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's like new math. I don't understand.
What corporation are these guys with? Okay, 1 minute we got now. All
Okay,
right.
now,
Monsanto says 1.
Let's see.
DuPont says 2.
Next month, who are we having on? Do you know? Do you remember?
We are having George Casaza. All right, George is he's a terrific hypnotist, okay, and he's an author. Wrote a book called The Other Side Visit Now. He teaches you how to go to the other side anytime you want to and visit with loved ones. All right, so I would recommend that you be here, tune in. George is a very charismatic person. He will be doing seminars in the city. You can find out that information. We'll put it up, and it's going to be a great time. All right, so until next time. Oh, I forgot my sponsors. For the food for our staff tonight is Antonio's Pork Store in Tottenville and Aardvark Pest Control in Great Kills. All right, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Do the kumbaya thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we ought to get in time. Wait a minute. What do they do?
There
The
we go.
wave?
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
Thank you.
Boy, do we have a good time or what?
Yep.
You know what I was thinking?